Hey, what's going on, everybody? Huvi 186 back again with another video. This is going to be my overall thoughts and opinions on E3. I'm going to mainly just talk about the big three conferences slash digital event. I hope just so that this video doesn't take too long, I'll just jump right into it. Starting with Microsoft, I thought their conference was really good. If I had to give it a grade, I'd probably give it a B. I thought that the strongest part of their conference was basically just messaging, kind of showcasing kind of like a new idea, a new direction for Microsoft from several things. Obviously, to kind of remove themselves from the stench of what happened to them, what was going on with them at launch. Most of it self-inflicted with the whole DRM stuff and all that other stuff. And the one thing that you're seeing from them is kind of like them wanting to create more unique first-party IPs. Obviously, they showed off Recore, which obviously I don't think it was legit gameplay, but but that Recore game they have some heavy hitters behind that game. Obviously you have Mega Man creator and the man behind Mighty Number 9, Kenji Inafune, and you also have members from the Metroid Prime games, collaborating to make that game for the Xbox. I mean, that's a pretty big deal. Obviously we didn't see any gameplay, like I said earlier, but that's a pretty big deal. I thought that some of the gameplay footage of their main games, like Tomb Raider, Halo and Gears 4, I thought were very underwhelming. I didn't think they were really great demos. Like, the games were probably gonna be great, don't get me wrong, but as far as gameplay goes, I wasn't really impressed with Halo 5. I thought the Tomb Raider demo was cool, but after watching Uncharted, it's kind of like I wasn't so impressed after that. But everyone knows that game's gonna be good. And Gears 4, I'm not really big into Gears, and I wasn't feeling that gameplay demo. But obviously that game popularity speaks for itself. The big thing that came out of Microsoft conference was backwards compatibility, and according to what I've been seeing it being a mixed bag about whether or not the games run better, run worse. I don't know. But ultimately, having backwards compatibility, even if it's not perfect, even if it's not the ideal way to do backwards compatibility like you have with Nintendo, ultimately backwards compatibility is a good thing for two main reasons. Number one, is something that can be used as a marketing tool against Sony. Obviously with PS Now, PlayStation Now's subscription service, and while Sony's taking a different path with PlayStation Now, with it being on TVs and on tablets and stuff like that, and beyond that, even though there's a different plan that Sony had with PlayStation Now, when it comes to the consoles, with PS4 owners, if they want to play a PS3 game that isn't cross-buy, that isn't a remaster, there's no way that they can play their games on from the PS3 onto the PS4, without paying for it or getting a remaster or whatever, and it not being cross-play. Microsoft can easily use that, and it did at the conference. They used that as kind of like a sticking point against Sony, and that's smart. Any advantage that you have, you gloat about it. But mostly, excuse me. But mostly, what this backward compatibility announcement with Microsoft, what it does for them is that it finally gives the 360 gamers, the ones that haven't really migrated to the Xbox One, gives them that biggest push to go out and get an Xbox One, while probably still enjoying their 360 games if it's eligible. So that's really all I really have to say about the Microsoft conference. overall, I thought it was a very good conference. And you can kind of see them kind of moving in a direction where they want to be the console where you'll have you have your big budget titles, you have your Gears, you'll have your Halo, you'll have your Forza, but they also want to bring out you know their own unique gameplay experiences that are only exclusive for that console. You look at the rebirth, if you will, of Rare with the collection, and also with their new game Sea of Thieves. You can see that Microsoft is trying to go in that direction. I think Phil Spencer deserves a lot of credit for that. So overall, I'll give them a B. Sony's conference, I will also give a B. I thought it was a great conference overall. Let me see. They started off with The Last Guardian, which is I thought the game was done. I didn't think the game was ever going to come out. They showcased the game. I think it's going to be one of those. It's one of those games that's going to be highly anticipated, and I was happy to see it, man. I was very happy to see it, even though it's not really my type of game. I'm happy that a lot of people who've been waiting on this game since the beginning parts of the PS3, finally get to see the game live and see it in all its beauty, and that was fun. Obviously, when the one thing I'll give Sony, I think the props out of all three of the major conferences, is their gameplay demos were so, man, they were so good, man. Like the Horizon demo that they showed was insane. Like the game just looks beautiful. The kind of like robotic. I don't know if they're. I saw an interview with them, and they were saying that they're not really dinosaurs per se, but they're dinosaurs. As far as I'm concerned, they look like dinosaurs, so I'm gonna call them dinosaurs. But the way that the dinosaurs look and everything about that game just looks absolutely amazing. Like I think that Guerrilla Games, I think, is one of the more underrated developers out there. I think their Killzone game, I think, gets a lot of unnecessary flack for but I think they're going to surprise a lot of people with Horizon. I think they've done a very good job of showcasing that game, and I think that game's going to look impressive. Now, the other two big announcements outside of Last Guardian that was showcased was Shenmue 3. I guess it was how they presented it on stage was like it was supposed to be like this. It was basically like it seemed like it was like just a jump start to a Kickstarter campaign, and then it just kind of ran from there. And from what I read, I think Sony's going to be also going to be pitching in to fund the game and get the game out. So I see some people criticizing Sony for at least saying, oh, it's a Kickstarter, and then saying that they're going to fund it, and how they kind of like lied to backers and stuff like that. Well, there's a couple things that you guys have to realize. One, Sony didn't start the Kickstarter. I think it's what's that dude's name? The creator of Shenmue. Sorry, I can't remember his name at the moment, but he's the one that started the Kickstarter. So once, I think what happened, and again, I could be wrong, but what I think happened was that the groundswell of support that came from that announcement of the Kickstarter, and obviously it kind of going from there with the record Kickstarter campaigns that I had, I think motivated maybe Adam Boyes and then Sony in general to kind of, all right, we'll put some muscle into this game as well. And I think ultimately, the way that I look at it is that ultimately, if the game exists because of this and that, then there really is nothing else that can be said. Like, it's either you get the game or you don't get the game. And Shenmue 3 is a long time coming for a lot of people. A lot of the former Dreamcast people who played the first and second one and really want the third story, I think that they're going to get it here. And obviously, the other big announcement with the Final Fantasy VII remake. I heard, obviously, you can tell from the conference that this got the biggest reaction out of everything. And look, for me, really, Final Fantasy VII was really the only RPG that I fully got into. So I want to see how they do it. It is Square, so you have to really reserve You have to reserve yourself on that. But at the same time, you know, it was a big announcement. It's finally coming out, and people are excited for it. And I think that's the thing that about E3 that people have to really understand is that this is about excitement. This is about hype. Of course, it's about hype. Now, granted, I'm not saying that fully, you know, give these companies your 100% trust and you know, give them, this, you know, you could just trust them altogether. But you know, at the same time, you know, they're showing you like these cool stuff, and there's nothing wrong with being hyped for these games and being hyped for it. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. What else did Sony show? Even you know, the thing that I worried about most with the Sony conference was that we were gonna see a whole bunch of Morpheus and they're going to do, you know, talk about other shit that I didn't talk about, but they really didn't do all that much on Morpheus. And I think part of it is because Morpheus is obviously it's something that should be experienced live on the floor at E3. It's not something that you really could show off as a demo, at least in my opinion. So they did a good job with that. And even with the TV stuff, which wasn't long, it'll probably be like 2-3 minutes. The fact that, you know, this service that they have with PlayStation View is really all about what I've always wanted in a cable service, is being able to pick and choose what channels you want and just going on from there. You know, that's something, you know, and I have Comcast, so, you know, and I know people like to bust on Comcast saying, oh, they're awful and all the other stuff. As far as with me, I'm cool with Comcast. You know, they've done a lot to really make my bill a lot less than it really is. But at the same time, you know, you look through the channels, and you see all these channels you don't watch and you're not interested in. I would love to have an a la carte type of cable service, and PlayStation View looks like it's going to be that. You know, right now, you know, I don't get it. I don't have access to it here. There's only access to 5 cities. But you know, even with the TV stuff, I thought was good. And then, you know, pretty much, you know, they showed off some other games like Digital Devolver. They're my favorite indie studio. They showed off a bunch of cool games, including Mother Russia Bleeds. Oh man, I'm getting that shit day one. But you know, obviously this conference ended with Uncharted 4, and the gameplay looked insane. Like I said before, it like the one thing that I think Sony killed the other 2 conferences with was game demos. They did a fantastic job showing off their games, and frankly, what I think Sony did with this conference was pretty much kind of like establishing themselves as the big, you know, the big dog, I guess. I don't have a better term for it, but the top dogs in the industry, right, trying to get these big third-party exclusive deals. You have the deal with Call of Duty, which I think it's still a big deal. Like, Call of Duty may not be the franchise it was a couple years ago, but it still sells a lot. And for Sony to get that exclusive, I don't want to say like exclusive marketing rights, you know, it's still a big deal. They also have exclusive marketing rights to Battlefront, which is going to be a huge game, and you know, like that's a big deal for them. And I think it's smart. You know, they have their AAA games in the works. They have the indie games in the works. But the thing that I think Sony showcases, while they're still, you know, they're looking at, you know, they still can try to put themselves as the top dog in the industry, while still trying to push creativity and new IPs and new stuff into the forefront as well. And I think that's a good thing. Now, Nintendo's Nintendo's digital event. Oh man. Now, disclosure, I actually watched this event today. I went to their YouTube channel, and I saw it had about over 1,800 not so much views, but 1,800 votes. Kind of like, you know, you could vote up or down. It had 1,800 votes. It had 8,000 likes and 10,000 dislikes. So that pretty much says it all for this digital event. I saw the big thing that they announced was Star Fox, and I have to be honest with you. I think the graphics looks amazing if it was on the N64. I don't know. This game looks like hot garbage graphically. Like again, I don't want to sit here and say graphics are everything. I'm not, like I've always been a fan of different art styles and stuff like that. Like for example, I forgot to mention this on the Microsoft side. Cuphead, that 2D 1920, 1930, 1940s cartoon look. I love that art style. Looks amazing. Like obviously Mother Russia Bleeds looks like you're I think I have to watch the gameplay again, but I think it has that old school 8 to 16-bit look to it. I love the art style. It looks awesome. I have no idea what these guys were trying to go for with Star Fox. If they wanted to go for that N64 look, there's a better way to go about it than that. This game looks awful. Like it looks terrible. It looks like an N64 game. It looks like an up-res, upscaled N64 game. Like I'm not saying it's not gonna be fun. It looks fun. I don't know if I'm into the whole, putting the fucking controller up on the screen shit. Like I'm sure I'm not into that. But like I was just looking at this game. It looks terrible. Like they also had announcements for like for DLC. I think for Splatoon. I think it was for Splatoon. I don't know. I was just kind of like just rushing through it, but they announced the whole, like, the one thing that I can't really, like, I know a lot of Nintendo fans are disappointed by this conference, and I understand, but the one thing that they can't, the one thing that they were saying was that they showed too many 3DS games. You guys have to understand, 3DS is part of their overall scope, so it's like that's what they're going to show 3DS games because people still buy 3DSs. As unfortunate as that is, people still buy 3DSs and they're still going to release games, big time games for the 3DS. Now, I didn't expect them to make a garbage looking Metroid Prime game on there, but that's what they did. And I think what Nintendo did, and I can't, this is one of those things that I expected when they decided to do these digital events instead of kind of doing an A3 conference. They decided that they're going to do do things their way, and when you do a digital event, you kind of take away the element of what makes E3 special, which is crowd reaction. They took that away. They decided to put their own production with Muppets and shit like that, and they kind of did their own thing without really having a gauge or a grasp of what the audience wants or what the fans want. But that's what they're gonna do. That's what Nintendo does. So I'm not surprised that they disappointed you guys, because I expected it. Now I'm still gonna get my Wii U, probably not this summer, but I'll probably get it sometime in the holiday season when I can get it for cheap. But again, they did their thing, and people are disappointed, and I don't blame them. And I mean, that's just all there is to it. Like that's what this company is. They're obviously going in a direction. They obviously have a new, I don't know, system, something that they have next year, and this shows evidence of that. Like they didn't really show anything outside of Star Fox and they didn't show anything when it comes to their other games like Double Third. They finally have a release date for Xenoblade Chronicles X, which the game's been at that show for 3 years now. But but other than that, like, what else did they show that was anything that was relevant? Like for a Nintendo fan, they look at so what Microsoft is doing, they look at what Sony's doing, and then they look at what Nintendo gave you, and it's like, I mean, there's no contest. Of course they would feel cheapened by Nintendo. But at the end of the day, this is what they're going to give you, because frankly they're not going after that audience anymore. The audience of the Nintendo fan, which are like around 18 to 34, hardcore gamer, they're not going after that crowd anymore. They're not. When you look at what they're doing with the amiibos, they're not after that crowd anymore. They're not. They don't care. Like the gamers that are into online gaming, the gamers that are into other extracurricular activities like watching movies on their system, like streaming and all the other stuff like showing off on YouTube. They're not interested. Nintendo's not interested in that. Their actions over the past few years have showcased that they don't care. But in that they're going after, obviously, I mean, I this is gonna be controversial, but they're going after the non-gamer. They're trying to get back that Wii crowd. That's who they're trying to go after. They're trying to go after the Wii crowd of the casuals. They're trying to go after the kids. That's who their focus is on. That's why the Amiibos exist. That's why they're doing what they're doing. And I saw this a mile away. I'm not surprised. And a lot of people who are hardcore Nintendo fans, they're disappointed, and they should be disappointed. But a lot of those same people, when Nintendo decided to do the directs and kind of go in that direction, they were all cheering for them, saying, "Yeah, all right, Nintendo." Like, and some of them were actually saying that E3 was irrelevant. But yet now, all of them are just sitting there showering them with disappointment about this E3 digital event, and I mean that's just how it goes, and it is what it is. But anyways, that's really it. Thank you for watching, and hopefully hopefully you guys had a good day. Hopefully happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there and all the single mothers out there also. Anyways, it's Huvi 186. I'm out. Peace.